Warning, watching this movie puts you at risk of falling for some marketing and social media hype. Welcome back, horror fans. I'm Leo, and Bootube Breakdowns is here to save your scary movie night. Right off the bat, Hereditary earns a 3.2 out of 10 for me, landing it in our zombie stumbles category. But here's the twist. I've already had to witness my mother saw off her own head to get this rating, and over the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly why it earned this rating. Let's break down how Hereditary got its Bootube verdict and keep your movie night from flatlining. And if you disagree with my score at the end of the video, be sure to let me know how much you want to throw a sketchbook into a fire, which will cause me to spontaneously combust about it in the comment section. Alright, so what is Hereditary about? We kick things off with a dead grandma and a creepy funeral. Annie, the mom, is a miniature model artist, and she's barely holding on by a thread. Her daughter Charlie is deformed, socially checked out, and allergic to literally everything except creepy foreshadowing. Spoiler alert, she's also carrying the soul of King Paimon, one of Hell's 8 kings, because grandma was into cults and satanic childcare. Some plot happens, and Charlie gets decapitated via telephone pole in one of the most holy shit moments in any horror movie in the last decade. Annie spirals into grief-driven seances with some discount mediums she met in a parking lot. Meanwhile, Peter, the son, is just dealing with the fact that he murdered his sister while trying not to get murdered or possessed or screamed at by his mom in every single scene. Slowly, but oh so painfully, we realize that none of this is random. It's all part of a cult's master plan to hand Peter's body over to Paimon. Annie loses her mind, her husband becomes a human torch, and she ends up levitating and decapitating herself with piano wire, because apparently that's a normal Tuesday in this universe. Naked people start showing up in Peter's bedroom, like it's Eyes Wide Shut spinoff, and before you know it, he's crowned King of Hell in a treehouse surrounded by Grandma's nudist book club. Therefore, we're left with a story of how this cult's plan, passed from generation to generation, caused a curse that was Hereditary. Get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? In the end, no one lives happily ever after, except for Paimon. Now I want to talk about the story quality. See, the story is familiar with a twist that kind of works. A cult's been quietly manipulating a family to support a demon king. Plot twist, the demon's stuck in the wrong body, a sickly, disabled girl. So the whole movie is a dark, twisted game of how do we kill this kid so the demon can get into the right host. Throw in mental illness, family trauma, and secrets bubbling under the surface, and you've got something more than your usual haunted house nonsense. It's a slow burn that thrusts you to connect the dots instead of spoon-feeding you. Except for the ending, but we'll get to that. Watching the family's slow descent into chaos adds real emotional weight. This one's about pain and dread that sticks. I'm giving the story an 8 out of 10 for mixing smart psychological horror with classic demon summoning. So the story's solid, but the execution? That's where Hereditary trips pretty hard. The movie's basically 3 mini-stories smashed together, leading to the finale. Problem is, it takes forever to get there. At a painful 2 hours and 7 minutes, you feel every second drag. Characters stare off into space like they're auditioning for a zombie movie, and trust me, you could cut about 40 minutes of that and lose nothing. By the 1 hour mark, you think that the story's about to wrap up, and then realize, oh, you're barely halfway through. Most of the movie is just slow motion waiting, with barely anything actually happening. It's like watching paint dry, but with more crying and less paint. Pacing gets a hard 3 out of 10 for me. This movie could have been tight, but instead it's a lesson in patience. Mostly how long you'll be waiting. Now, for the horror of Hereditary, it feels more like an afterthought than a main event. Sure, Charlie's creepy kid act at the start of his textbook and kind of effective, but it's 2025. We all have an autistic friend. That novelty has died off a long time ago. Charlie gets decapitated in a beautifully shot accident, and suddenly we're stuck watching 30 minutes of non-stop grief therapy instead of horror. At that point, it's less scary movie and more tragic family drama. which might be fine if you wanted that, but this isn't the ticket. The scares do pop back up in the third act. Annie silently crawling on the ceiling is genuinely freaky, but those moments are few and far between. All the tension the movie labored to build just slips through the fingers like a cheap soap. Now let's talk cheap scares, because this movie loves them, like your annoying cousin loves party poppers. I counted at least 4 of these lazy, loud noise scares that barely qualify as horror. More like, hey look, something jumped. Kind of. So I was originally going to give this a 4 out of 10, but after taking away 4 points from the cheap scares, I'm left at a 0 out of 10. It's just not that scary. For the fun factor, there are some fun bits of horror buried in here. Charlie's decapitation scene, pure gold. And who doesn't love a head getting eaten by ants on the side of the road? Gross, but oddly satisfying. Steve catching fire out of nowhere, that was a nice oh shit moment and a cool flex of the Demon King's power. But then you got Gabriel Byrne. He basically shows up just to remind us that he's a great actor, only to play a soggy, wet paper bag of a character. It's such a waste of a talent. Toni Collette, on the other hand, throws herself into the madness like a champ. Her self-decapitation scene is surprisingly fun, even if it takes forever to get through. And that corpse flying in the treehouse, no wires or CGI visible, props to the practical effects team for that weird little gem. Finally, the Demon King's golden statue with Charlie's mummified head slapped on, that's easily the best creepy moment in the whole mess. But here's the kicker. These fun nuggets are so rare and fleeting, you forget them the second the boredom creeps back in. Fun factor, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Enough to keep you watching, but not enough to keep you entertained. Oh boy, here's that ending. After Peter witnesses his levitating mom saw her own head off, he just stands there watching. He then looks down and there's random naked old people in the corner. That freaks him out and he jumps out the window and dies. I get it. Naked old people in my attic are scary, but I think the flying head cut off mommy would do me in first. Well, a ball of light enters Peter's body. He goes into the treehouse from the beginning of the story, and he just saw his mom's corpse floating into it, by the way. The movie now spoon feeds you an ending. One of the cultists in the treehouse says, hey, you're the Demon King, here's your new body, we've corrected your first female body and now give you a healthy male host. Anyways, here's your crown, now rule over mankind. Wait a minute. We've corrected your first female body and give you this healthy male host. Corrected? What did Aster mean by that? Now, as a side note, the whole revelation is just weird because it implies the cult manipulated the mom to get Peter to take Charlie to the party, while also having a cake with peanuts ready. Then they would have to get Peter to forget her EpiPen, while Peter would also have to take the right road at the right time, going at the right speed at the right angle. And then Charlie would have to pop her head out of the right window at the right time to get decapitated by the telephone pole. And all this without making direct contact with the family. There's just too many consequences in a series of events to be believable. And I know you could just chalk this up as dark magic, but let's be real for a second here. You can use magic like Final Destination and it would have been more believable. Oh, she's playing outside and a brick fell on her head and killed her. Yeah, that I think that would have been a lot better. By the way, going back to the treehouse, now there's a bunch of naked old people here. And then it cuts to black. In terms of endings, it is probably one of the worst I've seen for horror movies. The movie was 2 hours of build-up for a 3-minute scene of exposition. It's a movie where a lot of nothing happens, interrupted by like 4 shocking scenes, and in the end, you felt like you watched this family suffer just so the son can get a yellow hat at the end of it all. Also, boomer butt. Lots of it. Because that's what people want to see. Old, wrinkly, entitled, can't send a PDF over email, boomer butt. Honestly, it felt like witnessing a cruel power fantasy from the director. It felt like he was saying, haha, watch, I can get these idiots to lose 2 hours of their lives just to watch boomer butt. Because that's what I think of the audience. At the end of it, man, I'm giving this a 3 out of 10. So anyways, guys, that's Bootube Breakdowns' take on Hereditary. Averaging our score places this movie at a 3.4 out of 10, placing it in our zombie stumble category. Do you agree with my rating? Scream your score in the comments section and tell me what horror flick I should gut next. If this saved your spooky vibes, smash that like, share with your horror crew, and subscribe to Bootube Breakdowns for more killer verdicts. Keep it creepy, and I'll haunt you in the next review.